Hello, dear friends. Hello, dear friends. Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Best greetings from Sofia, capital of Bulgaria. Today we have a stream from both capitals of two countries, from Ukraine and from Sofia. My name is Victor Fursov and my colleague entomologist Bogdan Nikolov from Sofia. Today we decided to tell you some stories and show you something, because today's stream will be devoted to books about nature, to books about entomology, about zoology, about botany as well. I have one book about botany, by the way, because this is an important question. If you want to be professional specialist, you need to read books, or you need to read books in internet. You need to find some information precisely. Most information have been published already in books and journals, in scientific books, in popular books. There are some outreach activity for popularization, different studies in zoology, entomology, botany, and anatomy and other sciences. But books are still an invaluable part of our life, because it's easier, it's possible to find a book in a library, it's possible to find a book in a depository somewhere in the internet, it's possible to receive it from internet, from authors, it's possible to ask some articles, some scientific publications from authors, free of charge sometimes. Sometimes it needs to pay money for books. Sometimes books very expensive. But sometimes if you can ask author, for example, me or other scientists, and say, I'm studying dragonflies. Can you help me with your literature? And this person can send you some articles and can send you some books just recently published, free of charge, because we have mutual interests. You are studying dragonflies, I'm studying dragonflies. So now we can study together dragonflies. It is mutual benefit. So books, very important for science. That's why I propose this subject for this our discussion. But books are read from young age. And actually, if someone is interested in nature, books are interesting to read in a school, in college, in university, on different levels. On more simple level, on deeper level, on scientific level, and so far so good, growing in your knowledge. So today we can discuss different books, and I propose to start from side of Bogdan. What books did you read? What books did you read the first, or maybe some interesting books were very interesting for you in from very young age? Maybe not about tractors, and maybe not about trains, cars, maybe about zoology, maybe about nature. Tell us some stories about it. How did you like nature? Why did you love nature? Why did you love insects?
I love nature and insects because they are fascinating to me. I really like them. I'm studying them since I was around 7 years old or 6 years old, and I'm catching them and I'm observing them in nature since around 4 or 5 years old. And today I am making professional videos and I'm breeding them because I want to learn more about them. So I started with some books. My first book was an atlas about insects. It was translated from English to Bulgarian, but I couldn't find this book. I found some books that I've read about a year or some months ago.
Okay. Oh, voice little bit frozen, unfortunately. Oh, connection is slightly interrupted.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The first book,
Now,
yes, the first book I would like to show is about insects. This book right here. Can you see?
Yeah, that's in Bulgarian general entomology.
By Professor Asen Lazarov, and it was published in 1960s in Sofia. This is a old book in 1962. This is a very special book because there are not many copies left, and this book is an old publication about insects and entomology. There are many agricultural entomology here. It's mainly agricultural about the connection between insects and plants, and about biocontrol, how to control insects, how to protect crops, and different agricultural plants from insect infestation. So here here's information about most of the insect orders, including Diptera, Orthoptera, Coleoptera, and Lepidoptera, and their connections with plants. There are many biochemistry in there, many information about there much information about insect systematics, and there are some illustrations, as you can see right here. And this is very interesting because there are around a few hundred or few thousand copies of this book. It was given to me by a person who really liked my interest and my curiosity about insects and nature. It was in his own book library, and he gave it to me because he wanted me to educate about agriculture, about crops, about insects and plants. In this book, there are different methods of biocontrol and agricultural control, and different systematics. So in this book there is much information about insects and crops and how to protect them. So this is a very special book. It's not find easily. This is a book from university library, because this is a book from our biggest Sofia University, the Sofia University St. Clement Ochridsky, and this book is from the library of this university, and it's very special because it's one of the most important and one of the first publications of entomology in Bulgaria. So it's about 300 pages, and there are the first description in Bulgarian language of some of our most common and widely distributed pest species of insects and insects that occur in our nature, our ecosystems commonly. This is a book about common insects, common predators, and common agricultural pests. And there is much information about parasitic Hymenoptera, about Ichneumonidae. Very much information about Ichneumonidae is known. Our entomologists studied Ichneumonidae in our country very well, so there are many species from this family in our country.
Slightly frozen again a little bit.
So this is a very special book. I'm glad to have it, and I've read this book several times, and it's one of my favorites in my collection.
Okay.
So the second book is very interesting. It has been published from the Natural History Museum in the UK. It's about The Secret Life of Flies by Erica McAllister. Do you know this book?
Not I have not seen yet. I have seen it in internet probably, but your picture is frozen. I can hear you, but I cannot see you, unfortunately. Just wait, maybe connection is slow. Connection is coming. I'm waiting for your picture.
Can you see me right now?
Not yet. I can try to change picture one and try to picture. Yes, like this. Okay. Now it's okay.
So this is the book by
Yes.
Erica McAllister. So this is a very funny and interesting book because it's written on a new, interesting and very a new modern way of the explanation is more modern and more understandable. You don't have to be a scientist or entomologist to understand what in here is written for, and it's suitable for every reader, so every reader can understand what's in here. So this is a very interesting book because it covers every part of flies life. So
especially about Diptera, about flies, not about another orders.
Mostly about everything about flies. So here this is about the genus Drosophila, the genetically important genus, and about different life stages. This is the first one of the first flies has been discovered in amber in prehistoric amber. So this is here a book here about the life cycle of flies, everything, because you put it so. Okay, this is about the life cycle of different flies. Very interesting information because it describes every part with a small message under every title.
What species of flies was the most surprising for you, such as understanding and surprising biology?
I would like to show you one species of mosquito. Wait, I would like to show you. I really like parasitic flies and and blood-sucking. I've studied some blood-sucking flies in the past, so I understand very much about them. So this mosquito here, Sabetes tarsopus, with the fabulous leg warmers. Can you see it? This is the most exciting and interesting species of mosquito I've ever seen. A tropical of mosquito.
Right.
And this species of mosquito is from Africa, if I'm not mistaken. And the second is this parasitic fly who is parasitizing the Anopheles gambia mosquito. His name is Culicuides anophelis. It's feeding on an engorged mosquito, as you can see. It's a parasite that feeds on the blood from mosquito's gut. So this is very interesting and funny because it says that when the hunter becomes the hunted. So this is a very interesting. I've not seen this type of interesting behavior in flies, but there are many parasitic flies that are feeding on the blood of vertebrates and
Probably
other
very long
invertebrates.
story about butterfly as well.
Yes. So the third chapter is about the detritivores, the flies that are feeding on dead plant and animal material. And most interesting is about the Coprophagous, because I've studied dung beetles. I've made several field researchings and field studies about different coprophags. I'm planning to breed some beetles that are animal dung, but I think we have to understand them better because they are very important for the ecosystem. This is a interesting fly species. This is the terrible fly known as Mormotomia hirsuta, and it's wingless species that is feeding on animal poop. Other species like Musca domestica and Musca sorbens are also, this species of fly is feeding on eye secretions. This is the lead face fly, and also the interesting and very famous soldier fly, Hermetica ulucens.
Yes, recently very popular.
Yes, also for animal and human food. For me, the most interesting coprophagous species of flies are the interesting Sepsis cynipsea, a very interesting species of fly who is showing interesting behavior and ecological different trophic.
Tell the title of book again, because it's
The title of book is The Secret Life of Flies from Erica McAllister. It was published from the Natural History Museum in UK, the United Kingdom.
Did you order it
So,
from internet or bought it in a shop?
no,
Did you buy
it was given to me as a gift from a person who was living in the house. I am collecting beetles because there are bushes that are coming from the fences, and he saw my interest in and curiosity, and came to me and said, I saw multiple times looking and observing insects. I want to give you something, and he gave me this book.
in
From
Bulgaria?
yes,
This person in Bulgaria.
to me. So this is a very special book. It was given to me in June the last year. I read it and it was very interesting. The
Okay.
third book is also about the physiology and biochemistry of insects by a professor called Radoy Ivanov, also from the Sofia University.
Physiology and
This is-
biochemistry of insects.
Yes, and I ordered this book. It's not very rare, but it's also a very special book about insects. This here is in this here there is information mostly about biochemistry and systematics of insects, and also about their behavior and their ecological rules. So from this book here, it's mostly biochemistry. It's not for everyone. You have to be very into biochemistry and chemistry and entomology to understand it. I really can't understand some things because I'm not very good at chemistry and biochemistry, but I understand most of the information here. It's about insects, enzymes, and pheromones, and different
But
hormones.
many details of organic chemistry.
Yes, many. Big part of this book is about organic chemistry. Different chemical acids that are synthesized in the insect's body. So there are different. There are described some methods of biocontrol and very much information about the gender pheromones and the pheromone communication between insects. So how females attract males with pheromones, how do males communicate with each other with pheromones, how antennae detect pheromones, and different things like that. So there are different methods to control insects. Here there are many methods that describe different pheromone traps that attract insects and kill them, mostly designed for moths and beetles. For example, many chafer beetles in my country are pests. For example, orchard pests that can be very devastating and destroy crops in many places. So they are designed very big amount of pheromone traps.
Yes, right.
Especially for beetles like Oxyteria funesta, Tropinota hirta, and Cetonia aurata. And these are methods to control them. There are actually many chapters in the book about types of muscles, how do insects fly, how insect muscles are designed, and how insect muscles control insects' wings and insects' legs. How do they work? How they function? And bioenergetics of the muscle crossing here. And different synthesis and biosynthesis of different chemical acids. And pages there is a small information about the breeding of insects, their mating system, how do they copulate, and their interesting behavior, the determination between males and females. This is a short description about their male and female reproductive system, the reproduction between insects. So if you're curious, in my channel I've published three videos about the reproductive system of beetles and how do they reproduce. So you can check my channel and have a look at them. I've made them about 2 or 3 months ago. There are 3 discussions that are not very long and are interesting. And one of the last chapters is about the different diseases that are carried from insects, like malaria, and the biology from here, the yellow fever, and different types of diseases. And the last thing is the biological control of insects. So this is an important book. I have it since around 3 years, and I've read it also many times. And it's very interesting. This here is one of the rare bush crickets from Bulgaria that is endemic to our country. So it's very interesting, I think. The last book I'm going to show.
Wait about last book. How some English people say, visiting pub evening time and drinking a beer. English people say, that's my round. After one round of one person, next round for another person. So that's my round. I show some books from my side.
Oh, okay.
You.
Okay.
Just to entertain our audience.
Okay.
That's my round.
I have one question. Do you have something like a guide of because I really like bumblebees. They are my favorite bees because I'm enjoying their life, and as I said earlier, there are over 20 species of bumblebees in Bulgaria, and the most common ones are Bombus terrestris and Bombus ulcorum. I think I've seen mostly them. And I want to ask you, do you have something like a guide of, or something like a guide on the species of bumblebees in Ukraine and how to distinguish them?
No, we don't have such a guide. I know that such guide is planned to be published in UK. One scientist and artist asked me about some details, so this guide is planned to be published soon in United Kingdom with color atlas. But one book about breeding of bumblebees has been published already in Poland. This book is called like a breeding of bumblebees, but it's in Polish. You can search in the internet Jmeli Polski. Maybe you can find some details about some species in Poland. But also we have I send you some publications in Ukrainian about Ukrainian species. Some articles with some pictures. Maybe it can be useful. Okay, my round. For beginning, I show you some books like in general zoology. For example, as I started to tell you about internet, about insects, now this is a time of internet. But before we had time of DVDs, time of DVDs.
Yes. Yes.
Now we have time of floppy disk, big hard disk. So this is many DVDs. So nevertheless, for example, this DVD devoted to 3 volumes of CDs of David Attenborough, very famous zoologist and showman and editor of films, of BBC films. This is his book, Trials of Life. He He's a showman and he is editor of many TVs on BBC and other TV channels. Now he's over 90. But after each film, he published separate book. I bought this book in London, and it was signed by David Attenborough. Just somewhere. Yes, because when I visited Natural History Museum, my friend John Noyes said, now just we have a meeting of David Attenborough. He's signing his books. I said, very interesting. So let's go. I visited and also I bought this book, but this book devoted to zoology and also, of course, different interesting stories about zoology. Like here, this is orca and seals. So how orca is hunting for seals. And in time of internet, we can see it on YouTube, of course, but in time of books, everything should be published in books and then later on DVDs. But now with small camera, even with small mini camera of telephone camera, we can record some unique stories about animals, birds, insects, and publish it in the internet ourselves to share our knowledge. But also, I have some another DVDs. For example, very unique DVD of absolutely fascinating photographs of Mr. Kuribayashi from Japan. You see here such interesting view of this cricket, you see, just from downside. He's making a big macro photos with unique angle and the unique side and the special place, like from downstairs. So like small human took the picture of this grasshopper, and the grasshopper is like an elephant. So his pictures is really unique because he is using special unique equipment like very not common camera, but camera which is used for medical research with very special cable. And this cable can be inserted inside the nest of ants, for example, the nest of wasps, or can be on very close distance near the insect. It is very useful equipment to make a very big macro photo. And two other photo stories. These photo stories of Japanese entomologist and photographer Kazuo Uno. I bought it just especially for myself because this is unique photo entomologist. He has published already many books about insects, and also with his original photographs. Absolutely fantastic, very interesting, and many stories. Now he has his channel, but mostly he is publishing books with unique photographs. You see, like here, this is a rice field and with dragonfly under very special light with unique quality, absolutely fantastic quality. Now he's traveling all around the world, for example, visiting Indonesia, some tropical countries, and recording stories about fascinating insects in tropical countries. Probably he recorded all insects in Japan. Now his next chapter of his life can be devoted to tropical insects. And of course, they're very interesting and very colorful. His name is Kazuo Uno. You can search in internet. Anyway, but what about our insects in Ukraine? I show you some books published in Ukraine, our Ukrainian authors. This book is called Outstanding Entomology, author Zlotin. Outstanding, beautiful, unique entomology, fascinating entomology, with some unique, interesting, funny stories about insects. So this is not with only scientific numbers, scientific information, but with such outreach in entomology information for general public. His other books, for example, another devoted about insects which are serving for humans, such as insects. This is butterflies, beetles, honeybees, which are serving for humans. No, it's only one species is domesticated. This is silk moth, but others are serving, but still wild. And here's another book. It's called Technical Entomology. Technical Entomology, because he was working all his life with technical entomology, making publications, articles about different cultures of insects, culture of silk moths and other insects. His name is Zlotin. Another book, for example, and he worked in Kharkiv, of our entomologists from Kharkiv city. This is an eastern part of Ukraine. Kharkiv city is now very close to the front line of war. Kharkiv city in 50 kilometers near the border of Ukraine and Russia. This author is Gamayunova and Lizhenina, with special books for young students at school and universities. And these books are named Excursion to Different Regions for collecting. For example, Excursion to the Visit for Studied Forests and Visiting Places in Steppe region, with some stories about biodiversity of forest, biodiversity of steppe regions, with separate stories about all different insects and biodiversity. Very important books are atlases of insects, like some atlases of butterflies. For example, this atlas of butterflies in German language, very portable, just small size, easy to take it in hands. But I have big atlases, can show it later. Some atlases very huge, very big, with big photographs. So this atlas of daytime butterflies, and this
Yes, this is a guide to distinguish the different species.
Yes, and this guide is even more portable. This small book is called Mitchell Beasley Pocket Guide to Butterflies. Also useful for identification, even and possible to take it to the tour to the park, garden, open it and check it. What is inside? Picture of butterflies. Very precise with some description. So a very useful guide and identification key for daytime butterflies. And very small size, easy to use, easy to pick it and go to the field and check what did you find. Of course, it needs to be careful, don't destroy the book, but still possible to use it, put it in a backpack at least, for example, and check it even in the field, what did you find. For beginners in entomology, quite useful. Some books published in Ukraine by different authors in popular style, just for outreach entomology, for different ages. For example, this book is named Our Unknown Insects. Our Unknown Insects, with some stories about different beetles, butterflies, moths, and others. And this one, author Volovnik, was published already, several decades ago. And this book is author Yermolenko in Objective Insects and Nature and the Objective, about birds and insects. Voinstensky and Yermolenko, two authors. One was studying birds, and Yermolenko has been studying for whole life insects and took many photographs. But here, like a guide, how to take pictures of different insects in natural condition. He took many color slides. It was before digital era of digital photography. So he took it just on simple photographs, and he took his slides, photo slides, on a big and heavy camera. Now camera is much lighter, not so heavy. Another small book is devoted to biological control. This book published by the authors, collective of authors, who worked in our department of entomology. It's called In Biological Competition, in Biological Fighting. With leader our Professor Zerova, who had a jubilee of 90 years old last year, but he's not with us already, he passed away. So several authors of our department published here this book. I also participated in making some pictures, writing some details. So in biological fighting about entomophagous insects, all stories about entomophagous insects with small white and black and brown and black pictures of entomophagous insects, mostly about flies, and predators, beetles, and Hymenoptera. I have published 2 small guides about entomophagous insects myself. This is a guide, 2 guides were named here. One guide is a green one, how to collect entomophagous insects, methodology how to collect entomophagous insects in a field, different traps, different nets, different lures, different equipment how to collect Hymenoptera and other entomophagous insects. And second one, how to breed, how to rear entomophagous insects. So this is like a 30 different experiments which can be implemented in the laboratory of different groups of insects. How to keep culture of insects in laboratory and how to breed entomophagous insects from them.
I have a question.
Yes.
How many books have you written by yourself?
Now we are books, not so many. Not so many. Mostly I calculated my publications. I participated maybe in 5 different books altogether, because some other books I show you again. But I published over 180 articles and publications. 180 articles. One very important book which I wanted to show for some people. This is a book about ants, Formicidae of Ukraine. Author Alexander Radchenko. He's famous entomologist. He's from Ukraine. He is this year 70 years old, but he's very active, and he's publishing many new articles about ants from amber now, really recently. He described many new species in amber, and here this book devoted especially to ants of Ukraine. Maybe not so colorful like because here macrophotography under the electron scanning microscope, white and black. But this is a scientific book with all details of distribution, morphology, synonymy, zoogeography, and the systematical position of all ants from different groups and identification keys. So this is a scientific book. So, and with atlas of details of morphology of ants. So very valuable book. He also published several books about ants of Palearctics, ants of Poland, and so far so good. About atlases, I wanted to show one very old atlas of pests of field crops, pests of gardens and fields. Author Yermolenko, I showed already book with his about photographs. This book published many years ago, but with colorful pictures. Sometimes colorful pictures not so precise, maybe like a photograph, but on pictures also possible to indicate some tiny important details. He studied sawflies, like here on this picture, Hymenoptera sawflies. But this book devoted to all orders of different insects. named Valery Yermolenko. Here all groups of insects, beetles, flies, and all others. Atlas of pests, insect pests of field crops. This old book about pests of fruit crops, fruit and berries, fruit crops and berries, Savkovsky. Also with some atlas, kind of atlas, also with some sucking mites and some insects from different groups. Quite useful, especially for agronomists, because for agronomists it needs at least to make precise, or not so precise, but at least preliminary identification. Very precise identification of some moths, some butterflies can be done by specialists, by taxonomists. But for agronomists, at least it needs to make preliminary identification of pests. So for agronomists, such guide and atlas of pests quite useful, because here pests of leaves, fruits, trunks, and so further root. Some books were published in our department devoted to gall-forming insects. These are 3 volumes of gall-forming insects. So the gall-forming insects from different orders. Insects, gall-forming insects of cultural and wild plants. This green one, okay, green one. This is a Diptera. Galls. This is a formation on leaves, on branches, on stems, on fruits. Green one devoted to Diptera flies, gall formers. Brown one, this is a gall formers Hymenoptera, beetles, Lepidoptera, and Hemiptera. All are making different galls on plants. And blue one, this is about Hymenoptera. Hymenoptera gall makers. These are scientific book with pictures as well, and with identification keys of some insects for sure. And also pictures of galls, different formations of leaves, on leaves, branches, and fruits, different insects. Here, this is a gall forming Eurytomidae family cat-seed wasp, for example. This volume about Hymenoptera. Our entomophagus insects were published in two books. One book, these are entomophagus insects of pests, apple trees. And another one, Atlas of entomophagus insects of Europe. This one devoted especially to plants, fruit trees and apple orchards. Over 1,000 species of pests are developing in apple orchards, and about 1,000 species of entomophagus insects are developing on these pests. So here, identification keys, some stories about entomophagus insects, and an atlas of insects. And most part is with text, identification keys, some essays, some stories about biology, development, taxonomy, identification keys of different groups of Hymenoptera, Diptera, like this one, Tachinid flies, Tachin flies. And these were colorful pictures. Originally, they were done in a very big size, about this size picture. This atlas was published later on better paper. So this you see on a glossy paper. Quality of pictures much better. So these are Brachynidae, also some Ichneumonidae, parasitoids, calcid wasps, calcid parasitoids, and also Brachynidae, many of them. Calcid parasitoids, Encertidae. All the groups of entomophagus insects are shown in this book, and some big pictures of flies, Tachinid flies, entomophagus insects. Okay, just make a break. You're around. I have some books more to show.
So this here, I want to say that this year I'm going to buy some books. I plan to buy 2 more books about beetle breeding, the special publication about beetle breeding by Daniel Amber, very famous beetle breeder from Germany, and also Benjamin Haring, also very famous German beetle breeder that has a YouTube channel and Instagram who are slowly growing, and there are many fans and many beetle breeders like me who want to participate and breed the poorly documented and not well known species. So the last book I'm going to show is an atlas of zoology by Pavel Angelov, also devoted to not only to insects but also, as you can see, some smaller and microscopic organisms, to worms, snails, and arachnids as well. So this is a guide to with a little information for most species of insects and arachnids. There's an information about most of the most common species are described in here. So as you can see, there are dragonflies here, also orthopterans, different species of crickets and bush crickets, and also beetles like this Carabus cancellatus here,
Yes,
or this Cicindela here. Many beetles that are very common in houses, in gardens, and in parks, in meadows, forests, and others. Also, if you see, there is some information about ladybugs as well, only for Coccinella septempunctata, but this book was written before Harmonia axyridis reaches Europe, so Harmonia axyridis isn't described here. For the first moment of Harmonia axyridis is the most widely distributed in species of ladybug in Bulgaria, but this book was published in 1989, and Harmonia axyridis entered in Bulgaria in the 90s. So this book was a bit more earlier than Harmonia axyridis. So This is information about different species of, as you can see, like Papiliomachon and Iphiclides podalirius, different species of butterflies. And also at the end, more information about Hymenoptera and Diptera. I would like to show you some species, a good identification guide for Scolidae wasps and for Xylocoppa bees. Right here, Xylocoppa is described as a wasp. I think this is a misunderstanding because Xylocoppa is actually a bee from the family Apidae, and it's not a wasp.
Yes, pollen collecting.
Yes, it's pollen collecting, but here it is described as a wasp species. I don't know why. And my favorite, bumblebees.
Yes.
And actually about the bee wolf, the genus Philanthus wasps and Ammophila wasps and different species of wasps. Here there is no information about biocontrol or parasitic wasps, only a guide of the most common species that can be encountered here in Bulgaria, like here Vespa, hornets in the genus Vespa. By the date the book has been published, only one species of Vespa has been distributed in Bulgaria, but now there are two species, Vespa crabro and Vespa velutina. Vespa velutina is not a big problem in Bulgaria. Vespa velutina is still a very rare species for now, and I hope it will stay a rare species. So it won't be.
Who knows? Maybe more common than domestic fly. In France,
No.
this is like domestic fly.
Yes. So here in Bulgaria, this species is very rare. I've seen them only about 1 or 2 times. But this species, as we know, because of global warming, traffic and trading, has been introduced to Europe. I don't know if it occurs in Ukraine. I think it occurs in most regions in Europe.
In many countries of Europe. Not in Ukraine, not yet. Vespa velutina not yet in Ukraine.
And
The closest
the last,
country,
yes.
Romania and Germany.
So this is here. These are the last insects. There, here's some fly species in the two genuses Califora and Ulcilia. These are interesting for me too because I like different species of Coprophagous flies. I've studied them in the past. So in the end, there are some species from the Bulgaria red list. Some Balkan endemics like the Balkan Coleus balkanicus, and Parnasius apollo, the Apollon butterfly. Also the Rhodope Arabia rhodopensis, and the rhinoceros beetle, the European rhinoceros beetle Oryctes nasicornis, and 3 very rare species in our red list that are slowly disappearing because of the habitat destruction, the development of tourism, and collections, because these insects are collected in very large numbers, like the Alpian Rosalia alpina. Here the stag beetle, the European stag beetle, and Calosoma sycophanta, the golden caterpillar hunter. So this book is very special. So the second book I am going to buy this year will be about. I'm still searching for an English translation because it's only available in Chinese. Because it's a guide of ladybugs in China, and it's available only on Chinese language by now. And I hope I will find English translation. But if I don't find, I will have to learn Chinese language and then to read it. So, or maybe give it to, I don't know, a translation agency or something like this. Because I've, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm reading some articles and publications about some Asian species of ladybugs, mostly in China and Japan. They are very interesting. I've read the original publications from the 20th century. The last description, for example, of some species of Vibidia from China and Japan. For example, I've read about one species from Kyushu. I don't know if you know it. It's a very poorly documented species of Vibidia in the tribe Coccinellidae, in the subfamily of Coccinellidae. Its name is Vibidia fukudei. It has been described by Kitano in 2019. Very rare species from Japan, only occurring in Kyushu and small mountain range. And it's found in bushes and shrubs in forest clearings or forest edges, for example, on near rivers, especially on infested plants with typical Japanese species of plant fungi. Because this species is Mycophagous, is feeding on plant fungi.
For information from internet, it's quite easy to use now. Google Translator to read it even from Chinese.
Yes, this book is an actual publication. It's not an internet book, and it's not available as in the internet. You can order it and you can get it like this, but not in internet copy. So it can be more difficult for me. I will search for this book, but I only found a website who is selling it, and it's written on Chinese.
But even from book, you can make it scanning from book,
Yes.
and scanned book is recognized. Like you can scan English book and then can translate from English letters quite easily from scanned page, because you can put it in scanned equipment, make a scanning, and then
Yes,
from scanned
and
page you can make
and
translation.
translate it. Yes.
Okay, next round, my round, to show some another heavy books
Yes.
like this. You see, quite big one. What is this heavy book? This heavy book is too heavy. Maybe it's now in internet. It's much easier to find all details of this book, but nevertheless, it's quite easy to go to my bookshelves and take it, because this book is called Dictionary of Entomology. Dictionary of Entomology with different terminology of different words in English and in Latin. So if I can open it, I can make a precise determination with quite long explanation. What means elytron? What means elongate? What means embryogenesis? What means embryogenesis? Embryogenesis is a phrase about development process experienced by insects. some details about different entomologists, and very interesting details like greenhouse trips, green potato bug, green plant hoppers, everything just united in this huge and heavy dictionary. I bought it in Great Britain. Dictionary of Entomology, heavy book but very valuable. Quite useful guide for different details of. This is like encyclopedia of entomology of different details, taxonomical features, biology, morphology, even history as well, because here many details about historical authors and historical entomologists.
I have one question about this book.
Yeah.
From where you get this book? Where did you get it?
United Kingdom. This published in United Kingdom by Cubby International. Yes, Cubby International. In 2001.
This is very useful book because it gives you much information about the scientific terms. If you don't know them, you can just have a look in this dictionary and you can see what does it mean.
Terminology in Latin, in English, and different details like what means family Orucidae. So details about family Orucidae, details about ornamentation, about Perloridae, Perlidae. What else about Rutella, rust red flower beetle, Tribolium castaneum, major pest of storage cereals, for example, as many information, as much information as possible united here in this huge, heavy encyclopedia in one volume. But other books, for example, from Ukraine, this book is called Calcid Wasp, Seed Feeding Calcid Wasps, Seed Feeding Calcid Wasp of Palearctic region, Hymenoptera, seed feeding insects, mostly.
I'm interested. Can you find information? Are there information about the genus Megastigmus, the rose feeding calcid wasps? I really like them. I've seen them several times because in autumn I often collect the fruits of dog rose, and when they dry and in they are starting to fly some tiny wasps in my home, and I've always wondered what type of wasps are these.
Exactly. Some of them, we can talk about it later. This is another calcid wasp with very long ovipositor. Megastigmus is here as well. Megastigmus rose. We can talk about Megastigmus rose. I have many fruits of rose. I will make a. Yeah, this is a species, Megastigmus.
Yes, I've read your article. You traveled to Turkey and you collected some Megastigmus species from dog rose, the Rosa canina, the species of bush, and you examined them. Very interesting. There are 2 species of Megastigmus you collected in Turkey. I've read about 2 species.
In our collection, we have even more because we have collection of from different regions, from Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, from different Palearctic region, places in Palearctics. Okay, another paper, for example, here. This is about leaf mining chest moth in Ukraine. Leaf mining chest moth with different authors.
This species of this species of moth has became a very huge problem in the city parks in Sofia because it destroyed most of the big and healthy horse chestnuts. The horse chestnut is very popular in Sofia because most of the trees here are horse chestnuts, and most of the horse chestnuts in Sofia are infested with this species of moth, and many trees died from this species of moth, and has been very active in the summer months, from June or even from May to July and September, and has been breeding extensively over the past 2 to 3 years. And last year has been a very huge infestation in our neighborhood trees, and some of them died in this year.
Yes, yes. Some plants leaves are green when becoming brown and drying, so leaves are drying and tree branches drying as well, and trees are drying as well.
Yes, but the
So
problem is
more than 600 species of entomophages have been recorded, which are developing on the Cameraria fridella. But we're trying to control this species, but this is a new species for Europe, just spread so intensively. It was initially found in former Yugoslavia and then later spread all around the world.
yes, and this species was claimed that we control this species, but in reality, we don't control it because we don't want to spend money on biocontrol and chemical control. If we spend money, we don't use biocontrolling agents here in Bulgaria. The only city that is trying to fight with this species of leaf miner is only Ruse. Here in Ruse, we spray the chestnut trees with chemicals, and we have no clue here in Bulgaria about biocontrolling agents in this species of moth. We only use chemicals, and with these chemicals we are poisoning the trees also. But our government doesn't take any responsibilities for this. So
This is next book, quite interesting, quite heavy and just very detailed. This book is about Irish indoor insects, mostly you can say European indoor insects, which are developing on different materials inside houses, in kitchen, in stores, just in the dining room. So with all
these are
details.
these are my favorite insects. One of my favorite insects, because I really like indoor insects that are ones that are developing in pantries in our homes.
Yeah, like this.
Because of this, I really like breeding Anthracnose and see how they develop.
They're
I've seen
here,
the
you see,
Yes.
they're coming here. Maybe
Here I
we'll
can see some spider beetles, and this species of Anthracnose I can't really see. I think it's the most common species.
Verbasti, yes.
Verbasti, my breeding project. So, but there are not only Verbasti, there are species like Anthracnose museum and Anthracnose scrofuaria also.
And I said also about some atlases of insects quite heavy as well, very heavy, maybe more than 1 kilo, like this, but Atlas of Butterflies of Greece. So beautiful photographs and essays about daytime butterflies like this.
Like this species of, I think it's a species of
Coccinellidae.
Paleomatus. Yes.
With all details of biology and distribution and nice photographs. Because on big photo, it's also got colorful photo and also possible to recognize more details on big size photo. So nice atlas of Greek butterflies.
So I
And
think these books can be very useful for traveling entomologists, for researchers, and for field biologists. So
and some common species as well, more or less, for sure. And it's written in English. Yes, right, in English. And show you like this one. I show it just randomly because here many photographs.
yes, this is a species of Pyrgos. I cannot say what species. I'm not a butterfly expert, but I think it's from the genus Pyrgos.
I have one another big butterfly atlas, but this is a butterfly of world. So here, very detailed photos of all groups of butterflies from all around the world. So
Yes,
tropical species, but size of course is much smaller. But photos is very precise, so quite easy to identify some species. But here's
yes.
just limited number of species shown on this atlas for sure. But this
I have
mostly
yes. I have a friend who is the biggest moth and butterfly breeder and researcher uh, in the entire internet. He's from the Netherlands and he was traveling to Brazil and Uganda and Africa, and
we know
he
him. We know him. Maybe everyone who is familiar with internet and YouTube know Coppens. Bart.
yes, I talked about Bart Coppens. He talked to me several times, and I'm really impressed by him because he has traveling all the world and uh, doing everything to discover new things about different rare species of moths.
He published recently even his book Atlas of Butterflies from Africa. He collected in Brazil and in Africa his original photographs with very nice
Yes,
quality.
he's also publishing some publications, and also he's selling butterfly pillows, um, uh, pillows and cushions in butterfly form.
Some small like for decoration,
Yes,
like
for
stickers.
decorations.
But they're not pills, like stickers can be attached
Yes,
to the book, to refrigerator, or just to field hide, for example. But this book is very entertaining and scientific. So this is scientific and popular book with many groups of butterflies. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely outreaching, outstanding, amazing world of butterflies. These are only daytime butterflies. So fascinating, absolutely great biodiversity of species. So this is some Papilionidae. He maybe collected his more for himself somewhere, or at least made some video more for in Brazil.
actually, he discovered about 7 species of morphos, but the last one he didn't get the permission to film it because it was flying very high in the trees. He's having plans to return to Brazil and to Africa this year, I think in the summer. So
Or like this book is published in German language, so, but you can recognize it. Fascinating by nature, with big photographs. German author published different stories about nature, about plants, about insects, with very high quality photos and some details about plants and about insects.
yes, very beautiful and clear pictures I can see.
Yes, like here, like this one. Very nice. And also I said about some plants. Some books about plants also quite important for entomologists and for zoologists, because insects were feeding on plants, and another insects are feeding on another insects, on pests. Some insects are pests because they are phytophagous, but some insects are entomophagous or predators. So, but what about plants? Plants can be studied using identification guide. Sometimes identification guide can be very old. For example, this is identification guide of plants from Ukraine. It was already republished by another authors much later. But nevertheless, even this old book, which was published more than 50 years ago, I guess, still valuable because this is identification guide of plants of Ukraine, published in Kyiv, Ukraine. So you see, more than 1,000 species with only identification guides, identification keys, and some details of morphology and details of plants, distribution, how to identify them. And of course, now maybe some names have been changed because of some taxonomical changes. But some original Ukrainian names are still the same, and most maybe Latin names still the same, because in botany many taxonomical changes have been done, but still many species can be recognized and identified even with quite heavy and old identification book like this one. So some old books even from last century can be useful.
Yes, like this that I showed today.
Right. So far, so good. I hope some books were interesting and useful for you and for our viewers. Some books were surprisingly unusual, maybe for some viewers. Maybe some people can search for them in internet or can ask questions in comments, I guess. If some people may have some questions, they can ask us under this video in comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our two channels. Channel of Bogdan Nikolov, you can find link under the description of this video, and my channel about entomology as well. Can you add something else, Bogdan?
For example, I have questions about some books about Ukrainian hornets and species of Trichogramma. Do you have some books that are guides to distinguish different species of Trichogramma?
I guess for Trichogramma can be more difficult because it needs to make microscopic slides. And for hornets, still not, we don't have publication about hornets. You said about hornets, Vespidae. Vespidae
Yes.
have not been published yet in Ukraine, have not been reviewed in large scale. On Trichogramma, I have several publications, but they are in English and in Ukrainian as well, so I can send some of them for you, so you can see some details of biology and morphology. So they are published in international journals and in Ukrainian journals, in Ukrainian and in English, so you can recognize it, and with some photographs. But Trichogramma is very small, 0.5 millimeter.
Yes, it can be hard to photograph.
Not only photographs, but it needs to make a special microscopic slide to make clean body with potassium hydroxide, to clean it in water, then put it on slide, put it covered slip, and watch it under the microscope, at least under 1,000 times magnification microscope. So microscope must be very powerful. This is not just
Yes.
even a simple microscope, very powerful microscope. And if someone has more questions, don't forget you can find always my email under the description of this video. So you can send your questions on this email privately if you have private questions. If you have open questions and you are from friendly country, you can easily write your question in the comments of this video. But if you have secret question or just personal question about morphology, biology, about taxonomy, write your question. Or if you have questions about identification of some insects, maybe I can be helpful with identification of some insects which you have found maybe in pantry, in kitchen, in your dining room, and you worry about these insects. Some people send in sometimes photos and say, what are these beetles? I worry very much because these tiny beetles are crawling in my children's room. Maybe they are dangerous. I cleaned already everything. But what are these beetles? Are they dangerous? They're biting. I'm replying, no. These tiny beetles are not fighting with humans. They're not biting at all. They're searching for food. They're searching for dry bread, for cereals. Very easy. Don't worry about it. If you clean your room and you killed few beetles, don't worry about them. They're searching only for food, not for humans. But it happens. Sometimes questions can be very funny. And don't forget about our channels. So subscribe to our channels and press like and press in the comments maybe some smiles. So this can be comments visible later. How many reaction on our discussion? How many people just put smiles or just likes or comments, because it will promote a little bit video for another video, for another viewers. Because not many people actually in our Russian, Ukrainian, and Bulgarian audience maybe speak in English. But some other people in other countries can understand English. Otherwise, for example, yesterday I watched one channel of Polish entomologist. He showed some spiders and some insects. Was quite interesting, very surprising, interesting. He showed some terrariums with spiders, but he was speaking only Polish. No one story in English. Sorry about it. It's difficult to understand Polish, but it's much easier to understand English because English worldwide spread. And if you are biologist, if you are entomologist, if you are zoologist and botanicist, you should know English. You should read English. You should write English. You have to listen to English. You have to understand English, and you have to speak English as fluent as possible, like Bogdan is doing it. Bogdan is reading, writing, listening, and speaking English.
Yes.
So it's a great pleasure about it. So learn from his enthusiasm and his activity. Read, write, listen, and speak English.
Yes.
To understand. Thank you for participation. Thank you for coming to our channel. Thank you for coming to our stream online, because this is stream online discussion. I prefer to use streams on YouTube because some people like streams in TikTok, but in TikTok, streams usually have no information. People are doing something very stupid.
Yes.
Or something entertaining, just dancing.
Yes, and doing nothing. Just
Or just laying on a bed and saying, please give me money, give me money, give me money. I want to drink, I want to smoke, I want to eat. And Lena, do something, make something, make a hot dog at least, making a hot dog, making a fish, making just something cooking, something entertaining. we're making some educational video on this channel about entomology, about beekeeping, about insects, about beetles, about wasps, about hornets. Today we have discussed about entomological books, which you can find in internet. Maybe you can buy something, or at least you can try to find it, and you can try to read it. Thank you for coming to our channels. If you like to be sponsor of our channels, you can always find special button under this video to be sponsor of our channel. And we will appreciate your effort because this is feedback, sponsor in YouTube or sponsors in Patreon. Thank you very much for being sponsor or to be sponsor or to be subscriber. Subscriber, this is free of charge. I'm talking with you and I'm showing you everything just free of charge. I mean, with no money, just for fun, for entertaining you, and for spreading knowledge for our useful educational outreach activity. Thank you, Bogdan, for participation. See you soon in next stream.
See you soon. It was a very good and very interesting to talk to you again. So we will see each other in the next stream.
Okay, ask questions and you get answers.
Yes.
Search for people and you can find them. Search for answers for questions and you will get answers. Thank you. See you soon in next stream.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Best greetings from Ukraine and best greetings from Sofia.
Yes, from Bulgaria.
Good luck.
Good luck.